The Overstood Human Podcast, unfiltered dialogue, real solutions, no labels. The Overstood Human Podcast exists to inspire people to live with strength, freedom, and a purpose in a world full of noise and division. We champion a life anchored in true health, strong family, personal sovereignty, and self-discovery, inspiring our listeners to thrive beyond the confines of the design system. Our mission is to inspire you to break free from mediocrity, think independently, and live a life of meaning, resilience, and impact. Hello, I'm Frank Tortorici.
And my name is Sarah Green, and this is the Overstood Human Podcast.
Sarah, this is going to be a fun one because we've never gone here, I don't think. I mean, we may have touched on some of this stuff, you and I, but we're always talking about the matrix and health and food and medicine and pharma and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
But I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about our mind, the whole like faith versus fear, battle of the mind element of life. I think is such a, especially as a man in society, most men are afraid to talk about this for some reason. It's a sign of weakness, right? If you can kind of like tell your fellow man that you're going through something or you're feeling attacked or things, life goes up and down, right? Everybody has to like, and I'm sure you see it amongst other females, right? Just, everything's great, like everything's fine, especially when you go on social media, right? Everyone's living the perfect life on social media, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm excited about this one because I know when we initially came together for this, we said we wanted to have kind of a platform to expose ourselves a little bit more, things that maybe we're not showing on our day-to-day social media content because most people are tuning in for health and wellness, although this is health and wellness, but on a different level, right? The whole faith versus fear. And I guess I'll start off by, I'll share a little bit about something that's just been recently happening on my end. I find it very interesting that the closer you get into your walk of faith, the more attacked you get from, whether it's, you want to call it Satan, darkness, ego, whatever people's beliefs are that are listening to this. For me, it's definitely Satan. I mean, I can't call it anything else other than that. But when you become more aware of wanting to walk a path of righteousness and deep rooted in your faith, it seems as if the attacks come in more. And these are spiritual attacks. And I know, I just want to clarify that these are not, and look, sometimes it works through other people, right? Satan is the master of deception. He can come and go in all different forms, shapes and forms, ways, right? You name it. He can come through family members. There's no off limits with him, right? I mean, it could come get you any way, shape, or form.
Right.
For me, what happens with me a lot, it's sleep. I get during the day, I'm fine, cool as a cucumber. I can handle anything. But at night, if I wake up during the night, it can get pretty intense for me. Like where the mind starts racing, the heart starts beating faster, just anxiousness and anxiety, like you name it. And it's just, I always related to living life with Tourette's as well, because a Tourette's mind is it's always firing. Like that's kind of like part of the illness, and I hate giving it that power, but it's it is what it is. But I just had recently, this is interesting, last week, actually it was I think it's about literally a week ago tonight, I was asleep and I woke up about 12:30 at night, and I used the bathroom, went back to bed, and I started feeling like my mind racing. So I was laying on my side. I had my left arm under the pillow, and I'm laying there like that, trying to fall back asleep. And I obviously dozed off again. And when I dozed off, I started dreaming. At the time, I didn't know I was dreaming. and all I saw in my head was like a pitch black room. And I felt like this, I heard like a hissing, and I felt like a sharp bite into my left hand. And I felt two fangs, and I just kept hearing hissing. And I was trying to, like, in my sleep, I was like, get off. Like, I was trying to shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. And I couldn't, to the point where I yelled so loud. I live in a 2-story home, and my dog downstairs started barking. He must have heard me scream. And when I got up, this was the first time in my life ever. I'm 47 years old. I've had plenty of dreams where, you're dreaming and you wake up. But when you wake up, you're like, oh, thank God that was a bad dream. You know it was a bad dream the second you wake up. This, I literally had to turn the light on and look at my hand because it was so real, like this feeling. Um, and then literally last night, very similar, uh just feeling this entity of like pressure on my body, like just this, like where I couldn't even like lift my head up off the pillow, like my body felt heavy. Now the context of which I'm saying this, about 7 months ago, I was baptized on my birthday, on my 47th birthday. I was baptized. um and since then, there's been such a interesting sequence of events that have taken place in my life, just again working through other people, and how I react and respond to things, and how I just becoming more self-aware of so many things around me. And interestingly enough, the week prior to this bad dream, uh, I found a new place of worship, and it's a small place. So the backstory is, uh, my mother-in-law passed away back over the summer, and she lived in like a 55 older and over community, and they have service downstairs in her building every Sunday. So the pastor and his wife, a few weeks later, said to my wife that, hey, we have a plaque that is in memory of your mom that we want to gift to you. So life happens. We ended up not being able to go just until a few weeks ago. And uh, we were sitting there, and we're in a room now with just like maybe 8 people. And it's a husband and wife that are pastors. And he's a retired police officer. And the wife, she's a beautician. She does hair. And this is what they're doing. They're building their ministry now. And they're actually moving into like an actual facility now, at the beginning of in a couple of weeks. So he gifted the plaque, and we listened to his service, and he was talking, and as he was talking, he looked at me, and he said, um, you know you're being attacked right now. He's very intuitive, this guy. Like, I've been there a few weeks now, and the Holy Spirit talks to him. Like, he's anointed. He can feel things. So anyway, long story short, he asked if I would mind if he would lay hands on me. And he wanted to lay hands on me. And once I started telling him, because he said, I feel this that you're being attacked. And I've been dealing with sleep issues for quite some time. And when he said that, I just had like goosebumps, and I started telling him my vaccine injury, the Tourette's. And like most people of faith, he believes Tourette's is an attack from the enemy, in a sense, because I always tell people, it's like being raped every day living with Tourette's. You're being forced to do things that you don't want to do against your will physically, and it hurts. It's painful. Um, so the laying hands on me took place, and it was a very powerful experience. Tears, goosebumps, everything in between. And then this sequence of events has taken place over the last several weeks. And I spoke to him on the phone last week after that dream, and he was just like, wow. He's like, you're on the cusp of like a big change in your life spiritually. You just have to like stay the course, and continue to walk by faith. So I say all that to say, and this whole faith versus fear battle, and I want to get your take on it. Why do you think so many people, when they're faced with something of fear, right? Like, they may bite off the spiritual pill where they want to better themselves, right? And they start working on themselves. And then the second something that's trying to tear them down, they allow it to tear them down. What do you think that is? Do you think that they're actually allowing it to tear themselves down? Do you think it's the enemy just overriding where they're at right now? They're not rooted enough yet. It's too new of an area where they're not grounded in their faith. What do you think causes that derailment in their faith and to allow fear to take over? Like, what do you, from your past experience?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say congratulations. And
Thank you.
that's awesome. And Satan doesn't attack people that he already has in his grasp, right? He's not going to go after the sinner because he's got him, right?
Yeah.
He's going to go after the one that's trying to break away from him. So
Yeah.
you've got Satan and you've got God battling for your soul. And I think that no one on this earth understands rejection and shame and pain and all of that more than Jesus Christ, right? This man walked a sinless life. He had a mission. He knew what he had to do. He was betrayed by his disciples. Peter betrayed him twice. He had one turn him in. He sat there and he died for us, and they hated him before they hated us, right? And he says that over, and here he is, the Son of God, coming to save us from our sins. And so if you can go, I know that if anyone understands this and knows my heart and knows where I'm at, it's Jesus Christ. And so being able to kind of go to him and have him be the answer to everything, we're never alone. He's always with us. But I do think, and I was baptized about 3 years ago, and my kids were also baptized about 3 years ago. And I remember warning them, not warning, but saying, when you commit your life to Jesus Christ, when you get baptized, the attack that Satan will put on you is even stronger than what you've experienced before. And so you're a threat. And I think the closer you get with God, the stronger the attack becomes. He's got nothing to lose. And so it's a constant battle. And I think we as humans, and Jesus knows this best, he 365 times in the Bible, it tells you to not have fear, have faith, and the battle that we're battling now, God is forever. It's eternity. Our lives are so short on this earth. It's a pinhole. We can't see the future. We can't see what it's all about. He has that forever and ever eternity. So putting your faith in him and knowing that you're not alone and rebuking every day what Satan wants to do, and then getting yourself involved in read the Bible. If you've got a church that you like, great. But you literally have to get yourself in the Word every single day. I'm constantly, God, help me today, help me, whatever, every day, multiple times a day, I'm asking. And I think as your faith grows, you will find areas in your life that are probably areas that, we're all going to be martyrs for Jesus. We will. I mean, there will be a time where we, if it's in our lifetime, and I truly think that it is there, we will be up against this one world government, this taking the mark of the beast, where we have to look at our loved ones, our family members, if we're not prepared, and face starvation or take the mark, and the temptation, because Jesus knows temptation, right? He got baptized. He spent 40 days fasting, and Satan came after him where he was vulnerable and weak, and get behind thee, Satan, right? And he was promised all these things from Satan. He said, you can't tempt me. But the battle is real. The spiritual battle, the realms that are fighting, and we know that these battles are going on, but we know who wins, right? It's already played out. And so putting one foot in front of the other, and when I get into those battles, and we all do, right? I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't have anxiety at certain points in their life, or fear at certain points in their life, or facing a situation where they go through those stages of grief, and why me, and getting upset. And there's many times I know he's true and faithful, but I'll question. Are you sure? Is this? Do you want some help? He's got it.
Yeah.
But it is knowing that you know Satan wants your soul, and God loves you and sent His only Son to pay the ultimate price, because we all would have been in hell with, none of us are worthy. So just, living your life for Him. And I truly think that we will die for Him too. And that's going to be the path, but eternity with Him is the reward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to, when I feel into the energy of Christ, it's a strength like no other, but it's also an unconditional love like no other as well.
Mhm.
And what I've found by leaning into his presence more and more, I found myself more accepting of others as well, and others'
Mhm.
viewpoints.
Mhm.
And that's, this whole faith topic of faith, right? It could breed a lot of I have the answer, or I'm better than you because I think this way and you think another way type of a thing too. And what I'm finding is it's having actually the opposite effect on me,
Mhm.
in the sense of, if I think of his statement of, love one another as I have loved you, who am I to judge a person that doesn't see it the way that I do, or maybe lives differently than me, or sees things differently? If
Mhm.
if if he was able to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, after being tortured,
Yeah.
who am I to say, like, well, you think that, so you're going to hell and I'm not?
Right. Right.
So I've tried, I've cultivated his presence into my life, and it's made me become um more loving and accepting, and compassionate and understanding of overstanding of other people,
Mhm.
more than because pre that I was always accepting, but I would have my inner dialogue of like judgment of things.
Mhm.
And now I've noticed that I've been able to release that more, and just allow people to be who they're called to be. But the main thing is that I show up to be a beacon of light and represent his presence in this fallen world,
Right.
as best as I possibly can, and not feel that I'm better, or I have the authority to judge somebody because they
Mhm.
think maybe differently on a topic than I do, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and that, when this came together, this concept of the show for us to do, that was, I think, one of the things that we touched on too. I think we were both inspired, just by Charlie Kirk's work of
Mhm.
talking to people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like the presence of Jesus is not, I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, let's all sit at the table and let's talk this out. Let's try to figure out, if we can't come to a common ground, then at least we could say we can agree to disagree. But I don't have to want to kill you for not thinking the way that I do, and vice versa. That's the
Mhm.
opposite of Christ's message to me. So
Mhm.
it's fascinating. Like, where do you think society went wrong in that, right? Like, people, I mean, God, look at Israel, Palestine. I mean, you look at like this,
Mhm.
like there's always been war around religion. And I always, like,
Mhm.
that's when I tell people I was baptized, I kind of try to make it clear, and I mean no disrespect to people that are in alignment with the religious side of it, but I like to say that I was baptized as a follower of Christ,
Mhm.
not not the religious side of it, because I see
Yes.
loopholes in the religious side of it. I see
Yes.
there's hypocrisy in all walks of life, and so many
Mhm.
things, right? Now we're all
Mhm.
flawed. I mean, that's, we're all sinners, and we're all flawed. I mean, like, that's the reality of it. So I always like to say that I'm a follower of Christ, but because when it comes down to the religion side of it, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school my
Okay.
whole life,
Sure.
so I've always had this thing of like religion, like, man, this is like this is government religion. It's
Yeah.
control. It's
Yeah.
controlling people. It's not freeing people, it's controlling people. But it's been a beautiful process that since I've gotten baptized and since I've been proud to and confident to accept Christ back into my heart, whereas again, being raised Catholic, it was kind of like, ooh, get the church away from me, like
Mm-hmm.
it's uncovered this new horizon for me that is spiritual and not religious, because
Mm-hmm.
I think, what good is faith if you're not putting it into practice, right?
Right.
Like, I think we can all sit down and quote things and memorize things, but if we're not embodying them and practicing them
Mm-hmm.
daily,
Mm-hmm.
like what you just said earlier, it's like, Lord, show me. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's humble.
Mm-hmm.
That's a person who has accepted Christ into their heart, because you're like on your knees at his feet saying, show me. Not like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer. Like, I don't have I no, you're not that's not taking that stance. And my experience through my life, that's what I've found through religion. It's this God complex that it breeds, and it's not a humble
Mm-hmm.
person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so I'm curious, like, yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I just go back to when Jesus walked this earth in flesh, and his message and who he went after. It was the Sadducees and the Pharisees.
Mm-hmm.
It was the religious leaders of the Jewish faith that
Mm-hmm.
he went after. And he came here to save those that are lost. And he condemned those that thought that they were the ones that were higher than, or that ruled over the people. And so, you've got scripture after scripture that's kind of condemning that, and you've got, the basically the hooker who
Mm-hmm.
is caught, and the Sadducees and Pharisees are ready to stone her for
Mm-hmm.
having sex out of marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
and they want to stone her, and Jesus is there, and he says, "He who has no sin casts the first stone."
Mm-hmm.
And none of them can do that, because we are all sinners.
Mm-hmm.
So I too, I've been to churches where it's almost cult-like, and when you fall short, because we all fall short and we sin every single day, and you just pray, God, forgive me for those. Help me find a way where I can think different, or I can act different. That guy cut me off, and I'm ready to, whatever it is, and our thoughts. I mean, we sin in our thoughts before we actually sin, in public, whatever, so I think that being able to just say, I I'm a sinner. And we are not going to get to heaven by our good works, because nobody would ever get there. It's not by uh, anything that we're going to do. It's through his mercy and his grace. And so I too have to separate from the religious component that is condemning the sinners
Mm-hmm.
and guilting them, because we are all sinners. And so I hate that part.
Yeah.
And I was at a place, if I did something that was probably not something that I should have done, the guilt ate me up. That is not Jesus. Jesus says, I will take you where you are at.
Mm-hmm.
You come to me in your brokenness,
Yeah.
in your, your defeat, in your worst possible ways. Come to me. I love you, and I will help you, and I will
Mm-hmm.
show you. And so he's not saying, you got to get everything perfect, and you're that when you have that voice that tells you you're screwing up again, I can't believe you did that. You said you'd never do that again, and here you are, and you're not worthy of. That's Satan. That
Oh,
is Satan. That is the voice of Satan, and he is
yeah.
trying to beat you down to make you feel like I'm not worthy. of Jesus's love. And Jesus is
Yeah.
over here going, I love you all. Look what I did for you. Come to me. And so I think that that's so incredibly important. And so I understand that. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's humbling. And I think everyone's probably felt like, oh man, I did it, you know, whatever it is, you know, and people have addiction, you know, whether it's alcohol or drugs or pornography or sex or prescription pills or whatever it is.
Or even just complaining, negative thinking, right? And
Yeah.
it releases
Yeah. And
different
Jesus
types
says, come
of
to me in all of that.
yeah,
I've already
yeah,
paid the price. And if
yeah,
for someone to say, man, I'm too broken for that, you're basically telling Jesus that what he did wasn't good enough to take your sins away.
yeah,
He bore them all
yeah,
of them for
yeah,
everybody. So I'll never be able to say, you know, I'm such a sinner that what you did can't save me. Oh, yes, it can. It
mm-hmm.
will save everybody. You just have to believe. And so I found that the closer you get to your relationship with Christ, oftentimes the stronger Satan will become. And you really have to, for me, it's getting the word every day. And I fall on my knees every day. You know, I mean, it's become habitual, you know, and I don't like rituals. I'm not a ritualistic kind of religious person.
Mm-hmm.
But praying, we know like that he pray to me. I mean, he teaches us how to pray. And go to him with all of your brokenness. He already knows what you need before you've asked for it.
Yeah,
And he's lived this life. He's had the temptation. He's had the pain, the shame, the guilt, the hatred. He's got spat on and whipped and beaten
mm-hmm.
to death to bear what we deserved,
Yeah,
truly what we deserved. And
yeah,
he's taken that wrath. And so there is no sin too great that he can't forgive. But it also teaches, and this was a lesson for me, is I have to forgive those that have hurt me. And I think that that is definitely a lesson, an ongoing lesson, because we all have people that have hurt us or continue to hurt us, or, you know, families are always, they've got these dynamics, or you've got ex-spouses or, you know, ex-bosses, or, you know, where if I want my sins to be forgiven, I have to forgive those that have hurt me on
and that's
accident or on
hard.
purpose.
That's a
That is
hard thing to
I
do.
think that is, it's every
Hard,
day. It's
hard.
God, forgive those that, you know,
Yeah,
forgive those that want to attack me.
yeah,
It's an ongoing, very, very tough lesson.
yeah. Because in those situations when someone's attacking you, it's really got nothing to do. What I'm learning, it's got nothing to do with that person. It's the darkness working through that person to
Mm-hmm.
pull you into the darkness and away from
Mm-hmm.
the light.
Mm-hmm.
And I can segue into the story. This happened about a month or two after I was baptized. I was dealing. A friend of mine owns a company. I won't get too specific because I don't. But I'll try to tell it in a way. But he owns a company with a product that I use, and I had to troubleshoot this product. So I called him, and he's always always takes my call. You know, he runs the company,
Mm-hmm.
but if I ever need anything, he's always there for me. Whatever. So I'm always appreciative of that. So I call him one day and I'm like, hey, I'm having issues with it. Like, what can I do? And he's like, all right, try this, try that, da da da. And I'm explaining to him what's happening with my device, and then all of a sudden he starts getting like really like nasty, like talking down to me. I could tell he was driving, but he started getting like really like nasty. So I was like, I had to step back, and then in that moment I was just like, all right. I was like, all right, well let me play with this for a little bit, and if I can figure it out, I'll let you know how it all comes together. But I had to like, I was after I hung up, I started like, 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, and it started like eating away at me a little bit. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and the ego starts kicking in, right? Like my old way. And like, couple of F-bombs are going off in my head, and I'm like, I'm like, how dare he, like, I start going
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I pick up my phone, and I record a voice note, and the voice note was something along the guidelines. I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on right now in your space. I'm like, but don't you ever fucking talk to me like that again. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
completely out of line. Like, anyway, it wasn't a nice message. And right
Sure.
when I'm about to hit send, I heard in my head, be love. And I was like, because the night before, my son and I have, he has a children's Bible. And literally the night before, we were reading the crucifixion. And when I heard be love, my eyes closed, and I just got such a quick glimpse of the painting of Christ up there looking up and saying, Father, forgive them. And when
Yeah.
I saw that, I deleted the message, and I then sent a message, something along the lines like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I appreciate you. Thanks for taking my phone call. I got nothing but love for you. Like, you're probably just having a crazy morning. I'll figure it out, and I'll be in touch. And I
Mm-hmm.
sent that. And man, was that so hard. It was so hard. And then literally about a minute to 2 minutes later, my phone rings, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, it's him. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello. He's like, Frank. He's like, did you just try calling me? And I was like, no. So you could tell his ego was kicking in because of the message he got. So he wanted to play it off like, did I just try calling him? Probably thinking I pocket dialed him, but I don't have an iPhone. So with the Androids, it's hard to pocket dial. I wanted to say, but anyway, um, I'm like, no, I didn't call you. And he's like, did you text me? I was like, yeah, I just sent you a message. And he's like, look, Frank, he's like, and I was like, look, I was like, it's all good. I was like, I love you, dude. It's all good. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. And I could tell, I heard him get like choked up. I heard him like,
Mm-hmm.
I heard it. And I was just like, and I immediately had goosebumps. And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I realized how, again, as men, we think to express love like that is weakness. And it's so opposite. Like
Mm-hmm.
to jump into anger and being combative is so easy. It's so
Yeah.
easy, and it's so weak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was just such a moment for me. I was just like, wow, that was like one of the hardest things I have had to have done in a long time. Because when we hung up and it was setting in, I was seeing red. I was like, how
Yeah.
dare he talk to me like that? Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. Like,
Yeah.
and
You
man, it
never
was hard.
know. You never know what someone's battle is, right?
No.
So there's so many things that go into play when someone behaves that way, and you don't know, did they just have a horrible message? Did they just
Hmm.
lose a loved one? Did something just happen to them? And so knowing that everyone is fighting a battle that
Yep.
we can't see, right? We can put on this happy face, whatever, and we don't
Yep.
know what's going on internally, right? We can all
No.
look good on the outside and have a spiritual battle happening inside. So
Yeah.
that I've done that many times. I'm getting ready to press send. I'm like, oh, this could change the course of this relationship with
Yeah.
whomever this person is. And I'll even have someone else, is this too much? And they're like, you know what? Just start over. Be the bigger person. Show
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Jesus was honest.
Yeah.
He was honest. He by default can't lie. He's
Hmm.
honest. But he loves. And
Yep.
so through his love, but he was never quick to anger. And we have those days. And when you're being attacked like that from so many directions, the natural human flesh instinct is to retaliate. How dare
Oh
them?
man. And
And it's easy.
oh, it's so easy to be weak like that. It's weak.
Yeah.
A person that flies off the handle is weak. And to
Yeah.
any other male listening to this, like, that's a fact that you're probably not going to want to hear from another man saying it, but that's weak. When you get
Yeah.
to that place, that's weak. And everything's energy.
Mhm.
If I would have given in to my lower self in that moment,
Mhm.
he would have bit back at me. He would have probably gotten to the office or wherever he was going and then taken it out on that person. Then that person would have taken it out. It's just a domino
Yeah.
effect, and
Yes, it is.
it's like the levee broke. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just gonna go everywhere. It's just gonna
Yeah.
go everywhere. So it's always walking by faith
Hmm.
in those moments is it's so much bigger than just you in that moment or between you and just one other person, right?
Hmm.
It's such a grand scale. And I guess that's, when you think of it in those terms, you realize why society's in such a bad place. Because,
Hmm.
right, I mean, this topic is not a mainstream topic that you're going to hear through mainstream media, mainstream music, mainstream news, right? It's like all of that stuff is divide, 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 judge,
Right.
judge, judge. You're not,
Yeah.
you're not on my team. Like and it just the divisiveness in the society and in our world
Hmm.
um is driven by fear, right? We fear what we don't know. We fear what we don't
Yeah.
understand, what we
Yeah.
don't overstand.
Yeah.
We fear it. It's the unknown.
Yeah.
So if I take the time to try to get a better feeling for where you're at and what you're going through,
Hmm.
then that just makes the world a better place. And if society thought more along those guidelines,
Hmm.
I know the world would be our country would be in a better place, but it's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
because that's not the narrative that's being pushed at all. And I
Hmm.
don't think it ever will be. I don't think it ever
Hmm.
has. I don't think it ever will be, because I mean, I hate to sound negative, but I think it will only exist um, outside of the matrix. But the matrix itself is not designed for that type of a message or a vibration. And as I said, everything
Hmm.
is energy, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, it's
And
yeah.
it's okay to say, you know what, I'm having a horrible day. I mean, I think that feelings and emotions, um, as society, we've learned to not express them, right? We don't want to talk about
Hmm.
if we're feeling depressed. We label this depression, anxiety as a mental health disorder. Nobody wants that label because we've, as society, have turned it into a bad thing. Like people don't care. Oh yeah, I have hypertension. Oh, okay, they have hypertension. Oh, I struggle with depression. It's like, oh, I mean, we've created an environment where it's taboo to have these things. And I don't know anybody who at some point in their life hasn't had depression or anxiety or
Hmm.
um, a sense of just not wanting to survive, not wanting to
Yeah.
thrive, not wanting to live. Everybody at some point in their life, I think, has gone through something like that. And making it something that's safe to talk about is so important. And because it is divide. It's divide, divide, divide. If we can all come together, oh yeah, I've experienced that. How many people could be saved? How many people that feel like they're walking alone because they will be labeled, they'll be, whatever. You're going to have this stamp on you forever that you are not safe in society. And I think it's quite the opposite. It makes you human.
Hmm.
Um, it, it it's something that we should have out there. I think right now, as America is the sickest it's been with COVID and the lockdowns. I mean, these teenagers that struggle with anxiety and
Yeah.
depression, and it's self-made. I mean, not them themselves, but
Yeah.
society has created this. They're all on electronics. They were
Yeah.
out of school. They don't know. Kids don't even know how to communicate face to face. It's all this. You can be the biggest bully online, go face to face, and you can't. And so we've created this environment where I think that the rate of anxiety and fear and depression is huge, especially in our youth. And we need to, I don't want to say normalize it, but we need to say that those are normal feelings. And feeling like, the shame, people feel shamed. That's Satan. This is all Satan. All of the stuff that we're talking about is Satan trying to destroy and take your soul. And so creating open dialogue and say, like, this is what I experienced, and not having this um, label on you. It's very, I was in Tennessee over the weekend and went to a church in Tennessee. It was a beautiful, and the pastor was talking about, on the outside, my life looked great. I'm a pastor of this big church. I've got kids. My wife's amazing, all this stuff. And he said, I literally was dying inside and wondering how I can take my life. And here I am, this pastor of this church, and the depression and the anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I didn't know how to say no to things. And here's this guy that we all can put on a show, but what's happening in your heart, and for him to be able to come out and say, I had it, and it was a message on breaking the chains and letting go of Satan's grasp, whatever it is, whatever addiction it is, whatever fear, because nobody is going to get through life never having experienced that. And so I don't want to normalize it, but we need to be able to bring it to the forefront. So those things have open dialogue.
Yeah. And I think the common denominator too I'll just say in our country here in America, I won't speak for other countries, but it seems like faith has been ripped out of like the backbone of our society.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I have a childhood friend who's Yugoslavian and they're Muslim, but like they're peaceful Muslims. They're not Muslim extremists. And you look at them. I have friends who are Jewish and they go to temple, and it's like there's something to be said about families that practice faith. Right? Like no matter what the faith is, like there's something to be said about the kids, how they respect the parents, the dialogue, the respect for elders, for society, for their for their bodies, right? Like I have a friend who's Buddhist that I'm friends with people like of all different types of beliefs, and one of the common thing I see of that is that when there's faith in the picture, there's peace, there's love, there's normalcy, there's respect. But the trend in America, you know, over the last several decades that I've seen in my adult life is that faith is being ripped and torn apart and like trying to be muted on so many levels. I mean, look, it's not promoted in movies, it's not promoted in music.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, it's not really promoted in politics. It's just not, it's not there. And then when it is promoted on certain levels, it's like, it's almost like blasphemous too. Like they utilize it for certain political gains and for other things, right? There's other motives there. But true, like raw, genuine people of faith, 9 times out of 10 tend to do good and tend to like raise the vibration in society and show respect to their neighbor. And as a father, like I said, it's very clear when you see the kids who are being raised with faith in the house opposed to the ones that aren't. It's a night and day difference. And as I said, I went to Catholic school, and during my childhood I experienced it differently. I saw more hardcore drugs and things like that in Catholic school than I did in public school when I ended up going to public school in high school. So there was that. So but in growing up in Catholic school, what I experienced was the Catholic school kids, all the parents had more money and they were traveling and they were more kind of like absent from their kids' lives too. So I think that was a factor too. So, I guess I feel like I'm rambling in circles here, but I just think that when there's a presence of faith and the family is involved together as a whole in some way, shape, or form, whether you're taking the time to pray with your child at night before bed, just having some kind of it's kind of like a ritual, right? I guess you would say,
A
like
routine,
there's just like
yeah.
there's a knowingness, right? It's like I know every night before I put my son to bed, we say a prayer. Every morning before we leave the house, when I'm backing the car out, we say a prayer. I have him do his affirmations, and then I quiz him, like, what's discipline, what's integrity, what's loyalty. Those are things that I want to embed in him. I want those to be like, because no matter all of the wrong turns I took through my life, through what we spoke of during one of our episodes of when we were kind of
Mm-hmm.
like figuring it out in like our teens. And,
Yeah.
you know, there was still, even though I made wrong turns, the foundation was set there from my parents. And my parents are
Yeah.
not holy rollers. They're
Yeah.
just good people that set this foundation there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's missing in our society is, and that's what I think
Yeah.
people who try to embark on a journey of faith can easily fall off, because there's nothing in society, unless you're going to a church or you're purposely surrounding yourself with people that are
Mm-hmm.
like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that goes along the lines too, right? When it comes to how you're eating, how you're taking care of your body,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to be comfortable with being a black sheep. I think that's like the
Yeah.
be all end all of this, right? Like you have to be
Yeah.
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
You have to be
Yeah.
comfortable with that. And like you said, Jesus was tortured, spit at, like everything in between, right?
He
Um,
knows what it was like for people to turn away from him.
yeah,
More than any of us could even fathom.
yeah,
And he still chose to save us. Yeah.
yeah,
And we know the time is coming, and whether it's in our lifetime or not, that
right.
we will be uh taken out for our faith, right? That's
Mm-hmm,
happening. I mean, it's happening all over the world.
mm-hmm,
Christians, Catholics being brutally murdered for their faith.
yeah,
And we are so incredibly blessed to be in this country. Although corrupt as it is, we
yeah,
still have in our matrix a sense of freedom.
mm-hmm,
We can carry a Bible with us. We
right,
can go to church. We can worship on the streets. There are people in other countries that have to hide and sneak out
yeah,
at night and go to places that are where they'll be murdered if any of the leaders know that they have a Bible. And
crazy.
so you've got to get to the point that your faith is so great, not just you, but just
Yeah,
that you're at peace,
mm-hmm,
knowing. You look at the disciples, they were all, besides Paul, I mean, they were all crucified, they were all martyred,
yeah,
all of them,
yeah,
for Jesus.
yeah,
And so when you come to this place of peace, knowing that very well may be your end, and being okay with that because it's worth it, then I think that you have this sense of this. I actually think you kind of get past that spiritual battle, and you never get past it, but just
yeah,
just knowing, like, I'm good with that. So
mm-hmm,
I'm not, the fear of this diagnosis, of
right,
this cancer, of this whatever. I've got this life-threatening disease. Um, for me, knowing where I'm going, and being at peace with that, and looking forward to that. I'm not saying I want to go sooner than when he calls me
right,
home, but
right,
that is that far surpasses, like, the anxiety. Of course, we don't want to leave our kids behind too soon and all
yeah,
that stuff, but
mm-hmm,
having that sense of peace, it 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 opens another door of a completely different picture.
mm-hmm,
Because I truly think if we are here long enough, that will be ultimately what happens, um, and I'm okay with that.
mm-hmm.
I'm okay with
and
that.
and 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 based off of what you just said, it's like your faith, it's almost like a plug into an outlet that connects with your why, right?
Hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
the faith is what's going to keep you strong, because it all coincides. If you can stand strong in your faith, then you
Hmm.
have no fear of standing alone.
Yeah.
And in order to be uncommon in a society that normalizes craziness,
Yeah.
you have to be okay with being considered weird amongst people that you think are weird, right? Like, or
Right.
not, you know. Um, and at the end of the day, it's I think where we're going wrong as a society too is where, because of social media, I think is a big culprit. I mean, it's always been like this in culture, but I think social media has brought it out tremendously. We're constantly trying to fit in and seek approval from people, A, that we don't know, B, from people, like I always say, it's crazy that you're trying to seek approval from somebody who you want to be nothing like. Like think about that.
Yeah.
Like there are people that you don't even respect, but yet you want their approval. Like that's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's insane. Why are you seeking acceptance from somebody that you don't even respect? Right? If you don't like how they live or who they are or what they do, like why do you care if what they think about you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So but it does. The faith ties into the why, and
Sure.
there's that, we walk by faith and not by sight, and it really comes down to that. And that new pastor that I just found recently, his wife, she's adorable. Like when she gives sermons, she actually brings props. So she was doing the whole psalm verse of the Lord is my shepherd, and she actually wore a shepherd costume. She was
I
dressed
love
up as
it.
like, and they actually had me come up and another gentleman, and we had the rod and the staff, and we were standing, but just getting the visual of like, the things trying to attack you, and us being the sheep walking behind the shepherd, and the shepherd having the staff and the rod and just fending them off, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and you being able to walk and just lie your head in the green pastures and just be at peace. It's having, having that knowingness, and part of like that battle of the mind, right? It really is. You have to try to visualize it in a sense. I just had that realization and did a video on that the other day of just like, if you had a table and it was a table for two, and it was just you and say Christ sitting right across the table from you, you would do everything in your power to not allow unwanted guests to come invade your space. If you had, say you had 30 to 60 minutes with Christ to have all of your questions answered, you would die to not let anything come infiltrate that sacred space.
Yeah.
So if the table represents our mind, we have to be aware of like what thoughts we're allowing to come sit at our table, because as you said earlier, those thoughts are not us.
Right.
They're not us.
So true.
And then we're allowing him, an unwanted guest, to come sit and poison that sacred space, and in turn poisons our mind, and in turn degrades our health, degrades our mindset. It makes us a bad person. We snap at people. We're depressed. We have, to what you said, none of that is us. We're allowing an unwanted guest to come sit in that space, which is a big no-no.
Yeah.
It's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a challenge every minute of every day. Satan never stops.
Totally. He doesn't stop.
Right? He's not like, that one saved him. That's the one he wants, right? And I think your pastor is so correct. And the stronger the enemy attacks, the bigger, the better, the brighter, the closer you get to Jesus, right? It's this new awakening. And so the more you feel like you're under attack, it's because you're going to go to the next level, and Satan's trying to stop you from doing that. And so you just have to, it's faith over fear, right? This is all faith. Everything that we do, how we walk, we feel it, we see, and it's, man, what a powerful thing where would we be if we didn't have that? Oh my gosh. I mean, the world is mad.
And you, Sarah Green, are a clear testament of that, doing what you do on a day-to-day basis. Like without your faith, I'm sure you would not be able, like you're swimming with sharks, man. I mean, you're healing people, but you're swimming amongst great whites, and you're walking by faith every single day. Like
I am. I get
your
messages
call
all the time. Are you sure you're safe? Do you really want to be doing what you're doing? Do you understand what you're putting yourself out there for? Do you understand that at any moment, big pharma hates you, and I mean, the enemy has been attacking my practice and what I've been doing for 4 years. December 2021, the medical board was after me. 4 years. And it's through his grace and his presence in my life that I'm still practicing medicine with all 4 of my state licenses and my indigenous license still intact. But if I and I'm not saying that it's not, I mean, I have people, not that long ago, investigators coming in and, if I let that get a hold of me, and I let them win, then I'm defeated. And and I know a lot of doctors that just said, take my license. I'm done fighting. What are you doing? They're like, I have no more retirement.
Are these people of faith did you know?
I think that if they do have faith, they allowed the fear to be stronger than their faith.
Yeah.
And when you're battling the medical board, especially in the state of California, those funds are endless.
Yeah.
And so, you're looking at, really as a provider, the court system is much different than any other court system. You really don't have a chance. You just, but I could have given it up 4 years ago and saved myself hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. That's not who I am.
Yeah, but when you're called, it's
yeah, and he walks with me, and so I know no matter what, in the end, it's all worth it. But Satan wants to take me down. And so it is. It's just every day. It's God. Is this where you want me to be? This is. You sure?
I'm sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like I think of like the movie Top Gun when they're like in the cockpit and they got the lock on the enemy, and they're about to like, all right, go. Like you're so locked in to your faith and your belief that even though those thoughts tend to creep in, they can't really break that lock in a sense because it's just your purpose is so clear that like
my why
there's
is
no going back.
Certain. Mm-hmm.
There's no going back. Like it's been made so clear to you. Right?
Yeah. And that really is getting to your why and having that you'll die for your why.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll die for your why, then the enemy can attack all the time. And as long as you have that faith in your why, then you'll make it through. Whatever the outcome is, you're going to make it through.
Yeah. Yeah. You're making, if you're making a difference, then, and you're helping people. I'm helping people. So if you or I or anyone else is destroyed for lifting up mankind, then so be it.
That's the way we go. Yeah.
So
it's what we leave, right? It's the legacy. It's what we leave behind.
It's the legacy. But it's why we're here, and right. It's why we're here. I mean, we're all. I always use that saying, like we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's your soul's purpose is to be like you're locked in, and it's unbreakable on all levels.
Absolutely.
So hey, it was really good to explore that with you, and I definitely want to have more of this dialogue because I know there's a lot of people out there craving this conversation.
Sure.
It's important. It's
very and being vulnerable, being able to say this is my experience, and we learn when we become vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So,
and we grow. Yep, we
absolutely
grow.
Yeah.
So cool. So Sarah, thank you. And
thank you.
Definitely want to dive into this again. And thank you to everybody tuning into this. And as I said, anytime you can find us on all our social media handles. You can know where to find Sarah. You know where to find me. If you have any questions or any specific topics that you want us to cover in future episodes, we would be honored to do so. So on behalf of the Overstood Human Podcast, I am Frank Tortorici.
And I'm Sarah Green.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for watching the Overstood Human Podcast. Be sure to join in next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Always consult with your physician before starting any exercise program or doing anything contained in this podcast.